Hey y'all, hey. So here I am trying to help you understand your financial aid package. So we're going to go through some stuff. Some things will be general to financial aid and understanding what type of aid you can get. But then some, and really the latter half of our presentation or video will be based on specific things to guarantee. So just know that I'm doing my best to give you all this information and keep it short and sweet. But feel free to reach out to us with any questions or reach out to our financial liaison and you'll have her contact information at the end of the video. So let's get started. So first, what is financial aid? So generally, financial aid is exactly as it says, funding to assist. So money to assist you in attending college, aid that will help you financially. At UNCG specifically, the financial aid office is the office that manages whatever aid you are receiving for your funding for coming to this university. So what sources could that funding be from? So we have federal government sources, which are mostly need-based, so based on that EFC number that we've talked about before, and the requirement for guarantees that your EFC is 0. The university also is a source of aid, so they have funding that they can provide to students. The state, so as a North Carolina resident, you could receive aid, as well as private organizations and banks. So when we talk about private organizations, that could be a church, it could be a community center, it could be a company, maybe your parents' company could be providing scholarships to the children of their employees, or banks in your area may also be giving out scholarships. So these are some of those outside scholarships that you could also be receiving. And then what kind of aid are they giving from these different places? So there is grants and scholarships, which are very similar. Grants and scholarships may have certain criteria connected to them, but they are money that you get and you don't have to pay back. You may have to do something. So for example, you may have to be a certain major to get a scholarship. You may have to have a certain level of need to get a certain grant, but you do not owe money back if you qualify for these things. Then you have loans, which also have qualifications, and loans are things that you borrow and give back later. So the stipulation is you get this loan, we'll let you have this money, but then you have to pay us back in with some sort of interest. So that is loans. And then work study is a federal opportunity where you can work at your university and be paid funding for the work that you do. So in exchange for money, you do a job. So you could work in an office on campus answering phones for your work study position. And this is just an example. And then the funding that you gain through that job either goes towards your bill or comes to you in your pocket for indirect costs, which we'll get into in just a second, okay? So understanding the cost of attendance. So the cost of attendance is what Guarantee really tries to provide for students. And the cost of attendance is also referred to sometimes as the student budget. So it's really an estimate of what it takes for you to attend a specific university. So UNCG has a cost of attendance, and that's like a summary of everything we think it would cost a student to attend this university and be successful. So the cost of attendance includes some direct costs, which are things you can't really shop around for. This is what it costs to come here, which is tuition and fees. Those don't change. Whatever is on your bill, you have to pay it, and there's no way for you to, bring your tuition down or change your fees and pay some fees and not others. It's directly a cost to attend the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. Okay, so tuition and fees change per school, but if you come to UNCG, this is your tuition and fees. Then you have indirect costs. These are things that you can shop around for and things that you have more control over when it comes to your budget. So you can control your housing, your meal plan, books and supplies. So for how you can do that, obviously you can't choose which books you have for classes, but you can choose how you get those books. So you can do a physical copy from the UNCG bookstore, you can do a rental from the UNCG bookstore or from a third-party website. You could also get digital versions of your textbooks, and those all vary in cost. So you can control how much you actually spend on textbooks. You can control which meal plan you purchase. There is some limits as a first year on campus student, but you still have options within that, as well as housing. You can choose where you're going to stay at in housing and how expensive it's going to be. The LAP and then loan fees are something that you cannot control, but it's indirect because not everyone has loans. In your case, as a guaranteed scholar, you will have the maximum of $35,000 worth of loans, so you may have less, but you will have that loan fee. And then the other two, transportation and personal / miscellaneous, that is built in. As a student, you may have to use transportation to go back from home to campus. So that's an estimate that they've added into this calculation of cost of attendance, as well as personal or miscellaneous. So personal things that you need to purchase for yourself to kind of keep you going, lotion, body wash, hair products, and those types of things. So again, these are estimated costs. So why we say you can shop around, housing, you may see that your housing that you've selected is over $2,800. So your housing may be more, which means more is coming out of one of these other pockets. But there's an estimated cost of attendance that's been put together for this university to kind of estimate the average amount students will spend or need in these various areas, okay? So what's not included in the cost of attendance? Student health insurance is not included in the cost of attendance, and it's a roughly, I think, $1,300 a year for student health insurance on campus. Now, if you have your own health insurance through your parents, you can waive that student health insurance cost, but you will need to do that before you get charged for it. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that and you listen when they're talking about health insurance waivers. So you can look up Student Blue at UNCG if you need to waive your insurance. If you do not waive your insurance, we'll get to that later at the end of this slide. Computer expenses. So there is not funding to provide you with a computer. However, we'll get to that. Off-campus housing is not something that is calculated in your cost of attendance necessarily. If you choose to be an off-campus student, you will get an estimated amount, but your cost of housing may be more expensive than what they are offering you. And then childcare costs. Hopefully we won't have any babies in the group, but if we do, or if that comes to pass, or maybe when you're getting your graduate degree, childcare costs, or someone who has a child, childcare costs is not included in the cost of attendance. However, there is a form that if you need funding for any of these 4 things, you can ask for it. So it's called a cost of attendance adjustment request, and you would complete that form and send it to financial aid. So say you need a computer and you say, hey, I really need some help to get a new computer. You can fill out that form, ask for a new computer. They were going to adjust your cost of attendance and give you additional funding based on what you asked for, or it has to be approved. And that funding will be in the form of a loan. Except if you are a guaranteed scholar and you need student health insurance, there is a possibility that we would have grant or scholarship dollars to cover your student health insurance, okay? So if you need student health insurance, you want to fill this form out, and as a guaranteed scholar, you will more than likely receive some additional grants and scholarships to cover that health insurance cost. Now, if you need any of these other pieces, it will be in the form of a loan that you will have to pay back, okay? So keep that in mind, but these are not included, but can be, your cost of attendance can be adjusted for these things. So think about that and let us know if you need some help with that form. So understanding your guaranteed scholars package, right? That's what we're here for. So that total in cost of attendance is $20,404. The way that we calculate your aid is that we subtract the $3,500 maximum in loans. We subtract $1,000 worth of work study, which is what the minimum that you're going to have to do, or the maximum that you're going to have to do in loans and work study for us as far as the program is concerned. Then we subtract any additional scholarships that you have, and those are considered for individual students. So if you don't have any additional scholarships, this is an area that might make your award look a little different than others. So in maximum, and this is based on if you have no individual scholarships, we give you through the guarantee package up to $15,904 to help you pay for college. Free money to help you pay for college, okay? So when we talked about money that you have to pay back or money that you have to work for, in total, the maximum that you'll have to pay back and or work for is $4,500, okay? And we are providing up to $15,904 from the guarantee program package, right? So what is that $15,904 add up to? How do we get to that? So with that, we calculate in the Pell Grant, which as 0 EFC students, you qualify for the Pell Grant. There are some guarantee named scholarships. So it may not just say guarantee. It may have one of our donors' names connected to it because we have folks who donate on their behalf or the behalf of their class or the behalf of their family. So you may see a name scholarship on your account. Then we have the need-based, North Carolina need-based grants and scholarships. So those are from the state, need-based scholarships and grants that you would qualify for, as well as UNCG need-based grants and scholarships. So funding from the university that you qualify for based on your need, okay? So altogether, this helps us package you so that you are able to get up to the full cost of attendance, okay? Because we want to be sure not only are your tuition and fees paid, but we want to also assist you with the housing, meal plans, and all those indirect costs, which let's just bounce back. So this is the only funding that you actually need to attend classes and go to school here. These are to assist you in staying on campus and having a meal plan and being able to cover your books and being able to travel back and forth from home. You know, different things that we want you to be able to do so that you have the full experience of being a college student, even though financially you may be in a situation where you're not able to afford some of these things. So we want to do it with the least amount of debt built up for you, but in a way where you have the opportunity to do all of these things. So let's bounce back to one of my last slides. So why will the awards vary so much? So like I said, not everyone's award is going to look the same. It's makes no sense to kind of try to compare whose award goes to who. And some of the reasons for that is, like I said before, outside scholarships. So some students have applied to other scholarships and received them from other organizations. So those private organizations, banks, community organizations that they're a part of. So if you don't have that, your award definitely will look different than those students. Additionally, changes in EFC. So as I said before, when we screened you for this program, we look for students who have 0 EFC, so 0 expected family contribution, which means that you have a high need. So if your need, if your EFC is at 0, that means we can give you the maximum amount of an award. So there's no limitations, we can go up to the cost of attendance. If your EFC changes next year, say, when you redo your FAFSA, then we have to limit how much we're able to award you in some of those need-based funds. So your award may change from year to year, but we'll still give you the maximum that we possibly can. But when your need changes, it changes what we're able to award you because it changes your cost of attendance and gives you a little more responsibility over what you're supposed to be covering, if that makes sense. Different indirect costs. So if your housing is way more expensive than someone else who's staying in a traditional dorm, your award is going to look different, because that student may end up being able to get some funding back in a refund check because their housing is cheaper. Or you may buy a parking pass where someone else didn't bring their car. So those things change and affect the funding that you get and where it goes to. So what your bill is might be way larger than someone else who doesn't have a car and stayed in traditional housing, got the cheapest meal plan. That's why you can afford to budget and kind of adjust those indirect costs. And based on your decisions on those indirect costs, you may see changes in your award and what you may be able to get back in a refund to cover books or things like that. And then different awards offered. So there are some awards that get offered early and run out. So, and I'm talking awards from the university. So if there isn't a big, a pocket of money for this grant and they're giving it out as soon as FAFSA is completed, or the priority date for FAFSA, and they're passing it out to students, but then you turn your FAFSA in late, and this is considered year by year, you're still supposed to do your FAFSA and try to do it as early as possible. But if your FAFSA is in late, or you apply to the university later, that funding that, someone else in the program got early on, you may not have gotten the same award. So the awards will look different, and that can be very much the reason why it looks different. So it's very, very much complex, but the most important thing is focus on your award and contact us if you have questions or concerns. So there's no point in comparing and contrasting, because it's really apples and oranges, okay? So last slide, contacting financial aid. I have answered a lot of the information that I know and that I'm able to tell you through this PowerPoint slide. When we get deep down and complex into your awards, it's some of the things that I'm just not aware of. So we do have a liaison in the financial aid office, Roberta, and I have her contact information here. You can email her and ask her whatever questions you need about your award in particular. She's the one who manages your award, so she's the one who puts the things on your financial aid award. She knows more than I could possibly ever know about financial aid. So feel free to reach out to her. If it's any general questions, you can contact the general financial aid phone number, or you can visit the website that I have listed here, which will take you to the financial aid webpage, where you can really kind of dig into a lot of information that they have. I'm talking about videos, pamphlets, all types of things, excuse me, to really answer your questions about the general financial information. So whether it's, you want to look at the cost of attendance again, you can go there and find the cost of attendance. Whether it's you want to understand how to see your award, you can go there and get instructions on how to see Genie. I'll try to include some links to some different topics under this webpage in the email with this video. So feel free to check it out. And as always, ask questions if you have them. Like I said, if I don't know it, I'm probably going to send you to Roberta, but if I do, I'll do my best to answer it. So feel free to reach out to us and ask any questions that you might have about your award. Make sure you're checking your Genie to be sure that you've turned everything in that you need to turn into financial aid. We'll also be emailing you if we know of anything that you haven't completed just yet that we need you to do so that your award is finalized. So hopefully you got a lot of information and I was able to break it down enough to make it make sense. I know it's confusing. These are things I have to reteach myself almost every year, and policies change. So I know how difficult it can be, but feel free to ask any questions that you might have, and we'll continue to do our best to get them answered. Thanks.